Coming up on Eyewitness News at 5, storms rolled through our area earlier today. We'll have a live report from Valdosta on a possible tornado. Plus, we have coverage from the Rose Bowl in Pasadena as the Seminoles get ready to face the Oregon Ducks. And Chief Meteorologist Mike McCall will tell us when the dark clouds will leave. Those stories and more news, weather, and sports are next on Eyewitness News at 5.
Live from the WCTV studios, this is Eyewitness News at 5. Coverage you can count on.
A possible tornado rips through a Valdosta business. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Andy Alcock. Julie is out today. It happened around 11 this morning at a lumber mill off Madison Highway on the south side of town. Eyewitness News reporter Winnie Wright was the first reporter on the scene and joins us live with details. Hi, Winnie.
That's right, Andy. It's a scary sight here at Langdale Forest Products in Valdosta, where a man tells me that earlier today he was on a forklift when all of a sudden he felt it shake, and then suddenly the sky went black. We're still waiting for confirmation from the National Weather Service on whether or not this was in fact a tornado, but according to the damage, this storm was definitely terrifying for those inside. Within an hour, the fire department tells me they had evacuated 2 people who were trapped inside and had a complete head count.
A lot of the metal from the building was on top of the person. You also had some of the 4x4s was on top of the person as well. There was a little space that the person was under, so they wasn't pinned in, but they were entrapped where they couldn't move.
Sure, we had 4 patients. 2 of them were what we call serious patients, and we had 2 that were non-life-threatening injuries. All of them needed to be transported rapidly to the ER to be assessed and further treatment there. I don't have a further status once they reach the ER yet.
Andy, we have reached out to the hospital and are still waiting for an update on the condition of those patients at SGMC. Now, law enforcement says drivers should avoid Old Cliettville Road and South Patterson Street south of the overpass. They say they've created a safety perimeter around this area until at least tomorrow and say that no one should try to get into this active scene. Live in Valdosta, Winnie Wright, WCTV Eyewitness News.
Okay, thanks, Winnie. After a great weekend, it's been a not-so-nice Monday, particularly in Valdosta. Mike McCall joins us to tell us what we can expect next. Hi, Mike.
Hi there, Andy. And looking back at this tornado, and it was likely a tornado, very little stormy activity along this front. We had some heavy showers, no signs of lightning out there, a very unusual type of spin-up. But you're looking in Valdosta, and again, this is toward the southwest parts of town. Now, just based on the National Weather Service data, and they'll go out there and actually survey the site tomorrow to confirm whether or not it was a tornado, but all indications are that it was just a brief spin-up along a little line of some heavy showers that went through there. Now, if you look back at radar, and you can watch as this little cell right through here, you'll see it develop right there. That's the one that moved through town and zipped along Highway 84. Doesn't look real impressive, but it certainly had enough juice just to briefly spin up that tornado as it moved across the southwest sides of Valdosta. Looking in real close, now here's Old Cliettville Road, and this is Madison or Highway 31. So roughly in this area is where it had that brief touchdown. No signs of any damage farther toward the north and east, and that's certainly some good news. And conditions look a whole lot better in that forecast as it moves through the next few days. Now we'll look back at this possible tornado. More importantly, we'll look ahead toward the new year. That's all coming up in just a few minutes.
Okay, thanks, Mike. A man is in jail tonight accused of murder after 2 men discovered a body Sunday in Thomasville. Sidney McKinney was arrested last night and charged with felony murder. The victim has been identified as 29-year-old Deborah Thigpen. According to the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, Thigpen and McKinney had a history of physical violence.
There's been some allegations of violent acts that McKinney has been involved in with Thigpen in the past, as far as physically hurting her. And we feel like they got in an altercation here again, and that led to her death.
Coming up on Eyewitness News at 6, we'll hear from the victim's family members about the murder and the arrest. We now know the cause of a fatal Christmas Eve fire in Cairo. A home in the 600 block of Northwest 7th Street caught fire around 8:30 p.m. Wednesday night. 70-year-old Jonas Manning Jr. died in the fire. Glenn Allen, a spokesman for the Georgia State Commissioner, said the fire has been ruled accidental. It appears Manning was either igniting or refueling his kerosene heater when his clothes came in contact with the fire. Preparations are underway to say goodbye to longtime Leon County Sheriff Larry Campbell. A crew from the sheriff's office set up cones in the parking lot at St. Peter's Anglican Church. Campbell's funeral will be held there tomorrow. The church has also been prepared for the service. Pictures of Sheriff Campbell and his family have been set up in the entrance. Eyewitness News will have coverage of Sheriff Campbell's funeral tomorrow. And again, that funeral will take place tomorrow, Tuesday, December 30th at 1 p.m. at St. Peter's Anglican Church on Thomasville Road. Sheriff Campbell died Christmas Eve after a long battle with cancer. He was 72 years old. And Governor Rick Scott has just announced flags will be flown at half-staff tomorrow from sunrise to sunset in honor of Sheriff Campbell. And Wakulla County Sheriff will be hosting a news conference tomorrow to discuss the inappropriate use of social media by WCSO deputies. 5 deputies were placed on paid administrative leave about a month ago after posting comments on Facebook about rioting in Ferguson, Missouri. The sheriff's office has been conducting an internal investigation since that time. We'll have complete coverage of that news conference tomorrow night on Eyewitness News. The Seminoles are getting ready for the Rose Bowl in Pasadena. Eyewitness News Sports Director Asher Wildman joins us live from California. Hi, Asher.
Hi, Andy. Good evening, everybody. What a crazy day it was for Media Day of the Rose Bowl. I mean, the national media is here, obviously media from Tallahassee, Oregon. They're all parts of the country here for this great event, which is going to kick off the first ever college football playoff at the Rose Bowl between the Florida State Seminoles and the Oregon Ducks. Now, obviously, the big topic here, the quarterbacks, Marcus Mariota of Oregon and Jameis Winston of Florida State, the last 2 Heisman Trophy winners. Now, it's interesting because I asked both these quarterbacks today, hey, guys, Tampa Bay Buccaneers are on the clock with the #1 overall pick. Have you given any thought about that as far as your NFL futures are concerned? Marcus Mariota, he had to say, you know what, I'm going to think about it when the year's over. I can contemplate. I can review the year. Jameis Winston, plain and simple, I'm going to concentrate on the Ducks. Now, also, I asked the players if they think there's too much time between their last conference championship games and this title game. They said not at all. It gave us all plenty of time to rest up. Now, over the next few hours, we're going to have plenty more coverage here, the Rose Bowl week, as it gets underway. But for now, reporting from the LA Hotel downtown, Asher Wildman, WCTV. Andy, back to you.
Okay, thanks, Asher. Florida's minimum wage will increase on January 1st, and local Tallahassee businesses are weighing in on how it will impact them. Our Eyewitness News reporter Charlene Cristobal has their reaction.
We're not looking forward to that event in our life.
Debbie Cross is the co-owner of Tasty Pastry Bakery in Tallahassee, Florida. She doesn't feel that the minimum wage increase will positively affect her business.
I know everyone wants that. A lot of people want it, but as a small business owner, we don't want that because we have a lot of part-time employees. We have a few full-timers. There's no way we can pay them so much more when minimum wage rises. So it's very concerning. I'm not sure what will happen.
Dixie Lord, the owner of Tally's Grill, says it's time for an increase.
I'm totally fine with the raise. I think what everyone needs to understand is that minimum wage was designed to be an entry-level pay for an entry-level job.
Starting January 1st, minimum wage in the state of Florida will increase 12 cents to $8.05 an hour.
If my payroll goes up, obviously I have to figure out where those resources are going to come from. For us, that will probably mean deciding to raise prices.
As for Cross, she says she's unsure of how it will affect Tasty Pastry, but she's going to do whatever she can to keep her business going. In Tallahassee, Charlene Cristobal, WCTV Eyewitness News.
The new minimum wage for tipped employees will be $5.03 an hour, and for federal employees, $7.25 an hour. Search crews looking for a missing AirAsia jetliner have spotted objects in Indonesia's Java Sea. The plane disappeared from radar during flight early Sunday. Investigators say it's too early to know whether the debris and oil slick searchers have spotted in the Java Sea are connected to missing AirAsia Flight 8501. Crews plan to collect and analyze oil samples. The jet carrying 162 people took off early Sunday morning from Indonesia for a 2-hour trip to Singapore. It disappeared from radar less than an hour into the flight. Minutes after the pilot was denied permission to change altitude to avoid bad weather, the plane did not send a distress call. Still to come on Eyewitness News at 5. With the new year just around the corner, many people are thinking of what their New Year's resolution will be. Coming up, we'll have some tips about how you can keep those resolutions. Mike McCall rejoins us. And Mike, we've been talking a lot about that Rose Bowl matchup, FSU facing Oregon. Great weather for ducks here. A lot of full retention ponds these days, huh?
You are right, and more rain today, but thankfully not as heavy as that stuff that we saw last week. We don't want to see that for quite a while.
A Pennsylvania shopping mall was forced to close its doors Friday after hundreds of teenagers showed up and several fights broke out. Bob Allen has details.
An ugly, chaotic scene at the Monroeville Mall last night. Swarms of teenage girls kicking and punching other girls in rampant fights throughout the mall.
Disappointment is probably an understatement. We're in the holiday season and just don't understand these young folks that were down there.
Monroeville Mayor Greg Arasenko is out of town visiting family. He thinks the violence could not have happened at a worse time while the mall was making a comeback.
If you look at our mall, it's been reinventing itself over the last couple of years, and they're doing very well, and to have an incident like this happen is quite tragic.
Police estimate over 1,000 teenagers showed up at the encouragement of social media. Police say one teen came from as far away as the West End. 2 people were injured, no one was arrested, but police say it was clearly a misuse of social media. Now they're hoping social media will help lead to the identification and arrest of the troublemakers.
We do anticipate us follow this up and hopefully make arrests if we have cooperating victims.
And while teenage girls were fighting, a number of males were using cell phones to record the violence rather than trying to stop it. The mayor blames social media.
If I can get that out there as a plea to have the parents of these young people to please help us get that under control, because it's not good for us as a community. It's not good for anybody. This is just very negative.
The mall reopened for business today and will maintain a heightened police presence.
The Wolf of Wall Street, the true life tale of Wall Street corruption, topped the list for most pirated movies in 2014. It was illegally downloaded more than 30 million times this year, according to piracy analysis firm Excipio. Coming in a close second was the Disney hit Frozen with 29.9 million downloads. RoboCop came in third with 29.8 million downloads of both its 1987 and 2014 release. Rounding out the top 5 were Gravity and The Hobbit and The Desolation of Smaug. Surprisingly, some of the year's biggest blockbusters like Guardians of the Galaxy and Maleficent did not make the list. Do you really want to build a snowman? A Wisconsin man really did want to build a snowman for his grandson, but he had to wait weeks for frozen weather to arrive. Ralph Dixon used the time to design a 4-foot-tall replica of Olaf from the Disney film Frozen. And a weekend storm finally delivered enough snow to build his masterpiece and maybe a warm hug for his grandson, too.
He'll be surprised when he sees it. He was expecting me to build just a general snowman.
Dixon says he's ready to try designing more cartoon snow characters. And finally on Eyewitness News at 5, a mascot was chasing a bat, a mad ant mascot, that is. A real bat was on the loose right as the game was going to start. It was flying around the crowd and the mad ant mascot went after it. A Coliseum employee with a net and the mad ant with a flag actually caught the bat. Of course, that capture was met with some cheers from the fans, but it was short-lived. Somehow the bat broke loose again. They gave up on the bat hunt though, and the game started. It was delayed about 5 minutes. Stay with us. Eyewitness News at 5:30 is next. Coming up at 6 o'clock, a possible tornado sent several victims inside a Valdosta business to the hospital. We'll have an update. There's been an arrest after the discovery of a body in Thomasville. We'll tell you who's behind bars. And it's media day for the Rose Bowl. We will have a report from Pasadena. Plus, Mike McCall will tell us when we can expect the sun to return. Eyewitness News at 6 starts right now.
Live from the WCTV studios, this is Eyewitness News at 6. Coverage you can count on.
There was chaos today at a Valdosta lumber mill after a possible tornado tore through the business. Good evening, everyone. I'm Andy Alcock. Julie and AJ are out tonight. Eyewitness News reporter Winnie Wright was on the scene moments after the possible tornado hit and joins us live with details. Hi, Winnie.
Hi, Andy. That's right. I'm reporting live from Langdale Forest Products in Valdosta, where a possible tornado damaged the buildings that you see behind me here and also injured 4 people. First responders say things could have been much worse after a possible tornado at Langdale Forest Products in Valdosta. With tons and tons of lumber, these steel buildings, and dozens of employees working on Monday, many people here on the scene say they feel very, very lucky that only 3 buildings and a few cars were destroyed here at the lumber mill. It happened around 11 Monday morning.
We had 4 patients. 2 of them were what we call serious patients, and we had 2 that were non-life-threatening injuries. All of them needed to be transported rapidly to the ER to be assessed.
First responders say they immediately evacuated the buildings and found that one person was trapped.
A lot of the metal from the building was on top of the person. You also had some of the 4x4s was on top of the person as well. There was a little space that the person was under, so they wasn't pinned in, but they were entrapped where they couldn't move.
That person is listed as in serious condition at SGMC. For now, law enforcement says safety is the #1 priority and are asking drivers to avoid Old Cliettville Road and South Patterson south of the overpass.
Okay, it's very important that no one comes in this area. It's the buildings are still unsafe, the grounds are unsafe, there's electrical wire that's down on the ground, so it's very important that everybody stay away from this area.
We really did not see this coming. There was nothing indicated on the radar in advance of this, so this literally kind of popped up out of nowhere.
Law enforcement says that safety perimeter will most likely be set up throughout the night and no one will have access to this area. Now it's going to be tomorrow before we get the coverage from the National Weather Service to determine if this was in fact a tornado that ripped through the lumber mill you see behind me. Live in Valdosta, Winnie Wright, WCTV Eyewitness News.
Okay, thanks, Winnie. Most of us didn't see severe weather, but there was a lot of rain in our area today. Mike McCall joins us with our first look at weather. Hi, Mike.
Hi there, Andy, and right you are. This was the one little bit of severe weather, but if you're in this area, tough going and scary going. Now, it's still technically just considered wind damage and even thunderstorm wind damage, even though I didn't even see any lightning with this. It was more just a quick hitting storm that traveled along, mainly along Highway 84, but the tail end of it was south of that, and that's where we saw the damage. Now, if we look at the radar images, you can see the main part of the cell. This goes back to roughly 11 to 11:30. That's the cell that moved just about on top of Highway 84, but the little southern end of that had a little notch in it, if you will, and that's the part that crossed over I-75 and then dropped what we believe to be a cool quick-hitting tornado, moved across the south side of Valdosta, and then lifted back up. But we'll have a couple more radar views. We'll also talk about what's turning out to be a dry and cool pattern coming in for 2015, at least for the start of it. I'll talk about that in a few more minutes.
Okay, thanks, Mike. A Thomas County man is now in jail in connection with a body found behind a vacant house. Eyewitness News reporter Alicia Turner talked with family and friends of the victim who say they have mixed emotions about this arrest.
She just always kept a smile on everybody's face.
Family and friends of Deborah Thigpen say they're holding tight to their memories of her.
She's always been a best friend of mine. She always visit me. She loved my kids. I loved her kids, and she was just a great person.
Sunday afternoon, Thigpen's body was found next to a vacant house on the 1000 block of Stevens Street. The only thing covering her was a T-shirt. Now the man accused of her murder is behind bars.
Taking someone's life, that's stupidity. And by him doing something like that, and she left children behind, it's not fair. It's not fair.
Sydney McKinney has been arrested in connection with the case and charged with felony murder. According to the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, Thigpen and McKinney had a history of physical abuse, something they believe led to her murder.
What kind of guy would do that? That's what I'm saying. I mean, take a person behind the house and treat her like that. She didn't deserve to be treated like that. So I think that they should do something about the crime and make sure that he do the time what he deserves, what he need to do.
The family says the arrest doesn't bring her back, but it does help ease the pain.
She's going to be very well missed out the neighborhood.
In Thomasville, Alicia Turner, WCTV Eyewitness News.
Thigpen's body is being sent for an autopsy to make in Georgia. So far, a cause of death has not been determined. Preparations are underway for longtime Leon County Sheriff Larry Campbell's funeral. A crew from the sheriff's office was setting up cones in the parking lot at St. Peter's Anglican Church to help direct traffic. Inside the church, pictures have been set up in the entranceway of Sheriff Campbell and his family. Captain Jim Gordon with the sheriff's office says it's unclear how many people will attend.
could be 1,000, it could be 10,000. It just, we don't know at this point. There's going to be quite a lot of people. So we're preparing as much as we can to accommodate with parking and with everybody.
Gordon says he knew Campbell for nearly 28 years. He says the sheriff's office has lost a great leader and a good man who had a lot of respect in the community. Again, the funeral will take place tomorrow, Tuesday, December 30th at 1 p.m. at St. Peter's Anglican Church on Thomasville Road. Sheriff Campbell died Christmas Eve after a long battle with cancer. He was 72 years old. And Wakulla County Sheriff will be hosting a news conference tomorrow to discuss the inappropriate use of social media by WCSO deputies. 5 deputies were placed on paid administrative leave about a month ago after posting comments on Facebook about rioting in Ferguson, Missouri. The sheriff's office has been conducting an internal investigation since that time. We'll have complete coverage of that news conference tomorrow night on Eyewitness News. We're just 3 days away from the first FBS college football playoff as FSU takes on Oregon in the Rose Bowl. Eyewitness News Sports Director Asher Wildman joins us live from California. Hi, Asher.
Hi, Andy. Good evening, everybody. What a game we got here for the Rose Bowl. Florida State taking on Oregon. You know, a lot of the national media here has been labeling Florida State as the bad guys. In fact, at today's media day, they asked several of the Oregon and Florida State players, does this game feel like the good guys versus the bad guys? And I kid you not, you want to talk about being focused. Jalen Ramsey looked right at Bill Plaschke of ESPN and said, so who are the bad guys? So they're not looking into this at all. They're focused and ready for a football game. One of these two teams is going to have the right to compete for a national title down in Dallas. That's where Florida State started their season against Oklahoma State. Dallas to Dallas still lives. We'll find out on January 1 if that's where the Noles are going next. But for now, reporting from the LA Hotel downtown, Asher Wildman, WCTV. Back to you.
Okay, thanks, Asher. Coming up on Eyewitness News at 6, some same-sex couples are hoping to start the new year by tying the knot. We'll tell you if county clerks are likely to give out licenses or not. A judge's ruling striking down Florida's ban on gay marriage will allow for marriage licenses to be handed out next week. But for who? Matt Gelka went looking for the answer.
If you head to the Panhandle and go to Chipley, Florida, population 3,500, you'll be in the middle of the state's gay marriage debate.
Here you go.
That's where you'll find Ozzie Russ and Steve Schlereth. The couple filed a successful lawsuit challenging the state's gay marriage ban. Having their relationship officially recognized had never been an option in their 18 years together.
It never crossed our mind to get married because we thought what we had was as good as that they will allow us to have.
That will change for the two men on January 6th. They will be allowed to get a marriage license, but county clerks of court aren't sure if it's only them or everyone can. Clerks outside of Washington County were advised by attorneys not to give licenses out or risk criminal penalty. While Washington County will have to hand out the licenses, it wasn't the couple's intention to just be in it for themselves.
His injunction is mandatory for every clerk in the state of Florida, and he's now asking the defendants if they understand the order.
The judge who made the ruling ordered the state to respond by Monday and clarify where his ruling applies. While gay couples around Florida wait, the couple at the center of it all is looking forward to officially tying the knot.
When we do get married, the public can't correct me and say, well, he's not your husband. I can say, yes, he is.
Thousands of other Floridians are hoping they can say the same thing about their significant others. In Washington County, Matt Gelka, WCTV Eyewitness News.
The state's Department of Management Services was asked to explicitly set out the Secretary's position on whether the preliminary injunction binds a Florida clerk of court. Your help is needed to help control the local pet population. Miss Kitty's Cat Sanctuary in Thomasville is in dire need of volunteers. It's home to more than 200 cats. In January, the sanctuary will open its doors to the first spay and neuter clinic in Thomasville. Miss Kitty says they need at least 6 volunteers a day to help run things smoothly, and they want to get off to a good start when the doors to the spay and neuter clinic open.
We would be in a lot of trouble if we didn't have some very generous volunteers, and we do. But you know, the more volunteers we have, the less time they have to spend doing daily chores, and that they can spend time actually enjoying the cats.
The clinic is set to open at the end of January. For more information or to find out how you can help, you can visit misskitties.com. Coming up, Mike has a check of our forecast, and later in sports, we'll take you to Media Day for the Rose Bowl as FSU gets ready to battle Oregon. Mike McCall rejoins us now. And Mike, it seems like it was a pretty scary proposition for those folks in Valdosta. It sounds like they didn't have a whole lot of warning, just kind of one of those things that popped up.
It really was, because we didn't see any lightning at all with this. And it was what just looked like a normal heavy shower. But conditions came together just right for just a couple of minutes. And then back into the 70s, although a few showers coming back into the picture by the time we get to Saturday, Sunday, and Monday.
So New Year's Day, much like Christmas Day, looking pretty nice.
Probably the best of the whole week.
There you go. Thanks, Mike. Coming up on Eyewitness News, the Noles and Ducks are California dreaming of a shot at the national title. We'll head out to Media Day at the Rose Bowl next in sports.
Our coverage of the Rose Bowl from the Downtown Hotel in Los Angeles. I'm Asher Wam for WCTV. Back to you.
Okay, thanks, Asher. The countdown is already on for the new year. Up next on Eyewitness News, we'll take you to Times Square for a practice run. Finally, on Eyewitness News at 6, we were just 3 days away from closing out 2014 and welcoming 2015. And in the Big Apple, they have been testing the ball drop and everything. It goes into putting on the big New Year's Eve event. Today they tested all the confetti. It will drop onto Times Square once the clock strikes midnight. The cast of Aladdin on Broadway, which is the official sponsor of the Times Square New Year's Eve event, were able to hit the button. It releases all those colorful pieces of paper. Wow, should be something.
Fun stuff.
Stay with us. CBS Evening News is next. Good night, everybody.